All right, so welcome back. We're going to continue where we left off. We was in Deuteronomy chapter 8, and we left off at chapter 8, verse 6. And we were talking about the test, how 40 is a number of testing. And that in chapter 8, the Most High illustrated to us the process by which he tested our ancestors, which also gave us an indication of how he's going to and is testing us as we get ready to get prepared for these last movements. So here, from this point, chapter 8, beginning at verse 7, we're going to be dealing with not forgetting. Now, the Most High does, in a lot of places, say, don't forget. Or he says, remember. Like he said, remember the Shabbat. Keep it holy. He's saying here, and he said in the last chapter, don't get prosperous and forget me. Why do you think he does that? Because prosperity does change people. And if we get too much power and authority, we don't act right. It just is what it is. I mean, when you see David, the king, David was the king. He was a war hero. We call him today a war hero because he could go out there and do work with them Philistines and then come back, right? So he was going out and come back, ask Goliath how that flowed. So Goliath came around, fooled around, and found out. So then David came back to Saul with Goliath's head in his hand. So David was that man that you didn't want to mess with. Then he became king. He was anointed king. And that messed him up because what happened? He was walking on his roof one evening. And in that type of the part of the world, still today, they have outdoor showers. So he walked on his roof and he happened to look down and saw old Sister Bathsheba. And Sister Bathsheba apparently wasn't, pretty nice on the eyes from that distance. And he said, oh, who that? And they said, that's Uriah's wife. He said, have her come visit. I'm going to lay some holy hands. And then he did that. And Sister Bathsheba sent and said, guess what? I'm pregnant. What brothers don't want to hear in them situations particularly. So now he started covering it up. And then it all started because he had all the power. So for him to say to her, come to my castle, she had no choice but to come. And then for her to get pregnant, she had no choice but to tell him because her husband wasn't with her. So we know what happened after that. He tried to cover it up for a whole year before Nathan the prophet came to him and said, you the man. That's the problem. Yeah, you the man. And then we know what happened. The sword never departed from his house. So this moral of this story is if man gets too much power, he cannot handle it. Not that he might not, he cannot handle it. Look at our current president. He is showing you if you give a man too much power and authority, he will abuse it. There's no doubt about it. He will do that. Now, somebody said, well, what about Daniel? He played 3 times a day. Well, we must also remember Daniel was a eunuch. Bathsheba wouldn't have tempted him. That's right. Right? So he just handled his father's business faithfully, but he wasn't tempted like maybe David was. See? So we have to understand man can't handle power. And that's why in this world, we understand the power is the Father. We're not the power. He's the power. We are under him. Even Messiah, who is above all of us, say, my Father is greater than I. So we must always understand that. Anytime a man gets too much power, it's always going to be a problem. And then it gets even multiplied more when you combine power on a political level with religion. More blood has been shed by powerful people over religion than you know, right? More blood has been shed over that. So when you get religion and power together, there's going to be a problem because somebody with power wants to outdo somebody else with power and everybody else is a pawn. So the Most High reminds us, don't forget him. And what I mean that, I'm not saying just what we say, acknowledge him. We're understanding that if we obtain anything, it's from him. You might have worked really hard, but he didn't have to bless you. It's from him. And guess what? As quick as it can come, it can go. And one thing we know, right? There's some things way more valuable than money. Like if you couldn't walk, you give all your money you had to be able to walk, right? If you were in poor health, you give all the money. People do it. They get cancer. They give all the money they can for any cure they can find to try to heal, no matter how famous they are. So there's things that's more important, but everything we get, if you're in good health, if your children are in good health, you got one person to thank, the Heavenly Father. The Heavenly Father is the one to thank. So we must remember that all the time. And he's saying to our ancestors, when you get into this land and I bless you and the land is prosperous and you do it, don't forget. And that's why he did not want them to have a king. Remember when they told Samuel, we need a king. All the other nations got a king. We need one. And Samuel was not with it, but he went to the Most High, and the Most High, they have not rejected you. They rejected me, that I should not reign over them. Because they had protection from him. The only time you saw in the Bible where the Israelites did not have protection is where they left the Most High and worship other gods. That's when he would draw his protection. But as long as they were faithful to him, they had no problem. But they didn't understand that the Father was their king. So they forgot. Now, for us, it's the same thing. The sad thing is it don't take much for us. You know, like we think we rich if we get a couple of $100,000. That ain't rich. You could have 5 million and you ain't rich. Not here. Not the way things cost here. You know, $1 million used to get you a lot. Now, I remember this brother hit lotto for 5 million. He had his wife on one arm and his girlfriend on the other. It's a good thing they do that annuity over 20 years because he'd have been broke. He thought that 5 million was a lot of money, man. It goes by quick. It flies away. And then if you ain't earn it, it flies away faster. That's right. Like I said, my father will hold on to the dollar till it hollers. Right? He ain't letting it go. Somebody said, hold this check for me. And then they come back. I need that check. What check? What check? The money I gave you. What money? That's in the bank and it ain't coming out. See? But if it's just given to you, it could just be given away. And that's how people treat money they didn't earn. It just goes away. So always remember, it's your Heavenly Father that causes you to prosper. It's him that gives you good health. It's him that blesses and protects you. If you don't have him, you don't have nothing. You could have 10 million, 100 million. You could have $250 million. You could be Jeff Bezos, and he is lost. You know, because you cannot have all that and go into the kingdom. It don't fit. Either you can heap the money or you can get the kingdom. You cannot have both. Okay? But our fathers forgot. And that's why we are where we are. Always remember that. Brother was talking with Brother Joe. We were talking about how they do these voodoo type carnivals in the islands. That the voodoo type carnival. And when I see it, it reminds me of why we got kicked out the land. I say, see, that's why we here. All that. Ain't nothing wrong with partying. That's what the Feast of Tabernacles is for. In fact, let me share this with y'all. One of the verses that a lot of churches ignore. Let's take a look at this in Deuteronomy chapter 14. This is how they handled the Feast of Tabernacles. I'm going to start in Deuteronomy chapter 14. We're going to get there eventually, but I'm going to give you a sneak preview. Deuteronomy chapter 14, beginning at verse 22 and going down to verse 29. Deuteronomy chapter 14 from verse 22 to 29. Well, follow this closely now. Now, I don't want y'all to start getting crazy, but I want you to see how they handled things when it was time for the Feast of Tabernacles in our land when we was in there. Ready? All right, verse 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed that the field bringeth forth from year by year. And thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy Most High in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. Now, what place did he choose? Right. It's Jerusalem is the place he chose to place his name there. And we're going to be in the new Jerusalem. Okay. All right. And tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, of thy oil, the firstlings of thy herds and thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahweh thy most high always. So when he said tithe, of course, we're going to give it to the Reverend Doctor, right? No. Well, we're going to see what he said we're supposed to do with it right here. Okay, look. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it. So the tithe was what? It was food, it was wine, it was cattle. It was not money. It was not money. Okay. All right. So now thou art not able to carry all of it in the place which Yahweh shall choose. It be too far from thee, which Yahweh thy Most High shall choose to set his name there, when Yahweh thy Most High have blessed thee. And thou shalt, well, first of all, let's talk about the blessing. Let's explain what a blessing is. So let me ask y'all a question. Do you live someplace where you got to pay lights? Do you live someplace where you got to pay for heat? Or you got to pay for taxes? Or you got to pay for HOA fees or anything like that? So when they, for example, you get electricity, right? So you're getting the electricity. This is May. So you're getting May's electricity. But next month you pay for the electricity that you used in May. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So in other words, at the end of May, the electric company going to measure how much electricity you used in May. And they're going to come at you with a bill, say, okay, this is what you used. This is the wattage you used in May. We're expecting payment for that wattage in June. So now, when you come and you get that bill, you owe the electric company that money. Why? Because you used the lights. So you can't, how are you going to give somebody that ain't earned it now, because they Reverend Doctor, the same money, and the electric company said, wait, you paying Reverend Doctor and you ain't paying, we gave you lights. What Reverend Doctor give you? He gave us a word. Right? So does that make sense to y'all? Oh, wait a minute. You got a mortgage or you got a rent? So that means you signed a lease or you signed mortgage paper. So the mortgage company says, okay, we'll let you own this house in your name. Okay? But you got to pay us the money we lent you to buy this house. So as long as you owe us, you going to promise, you sign if you ever bought a house, you sign a stack of papers. You put more signatures down than you ever put in your life. And then now all that is saying is you promise to pay us. And if you don't pay us, we're going to have to take our property back. And we're going to have to displace you from the property, right? That has happened, unfortunately. I know what that's like. So when you getting ready to pay the bank what you promised to pay them, why are you paying Reverend Doctor? I mean, you owe the money, right? Now, let me ask you this. When Jacob promised to tithe, did Jacob have a mortgage? No. Did he owe somebody money for land or anything? No. So when Jacob woke up and said, this is Bethel, because he saw the ladder, right? He said, I promise to give the 10th unto thee. Why? He said, if you give me food to eat and raiment to put on, I promise to give you the 10th. So here's the deal. You give me this and I'll give you that. So wait, that means I don't owe somebody else money when I'm paying you. Is that correct? So if you have a debt, how many of y'all got debts? That means you borrowed something. So before you pay anybody, you got to pay the person you owe money to. I remember one time, I know I tell a story, but this is true, man. My boss, he called me in his office. I thought they were going to fire me. So I'm sitting there ready to get fired. He said, Glasgow, you on the balls of your ass, aren't you? Catholic man. And I said, yes, sir. And he said, I shouldn't be doing this. I said, I didn't know what he was talking about. And this man was a millionaire. So he said, I shouldn't be doing this. He said, listen, man, if I give you some money, you going to pay me back? I said, yes. I mean, I meant it. So then he said, well, you going to give to your church? Because I was a Christian at the time. He knew that. I said, I got to give the tithe to my church. He said, but you're going to owe me money. So you going to pay me first or you going to pay your church first? And I was honest. I said, listen, sir, I was brainwashed. I said, I got to get the tithe first. And he said, I don't know why I'm going to do this, man. And so at the company I was with, they had a slush fund. And this, I didn't realize it was hundreds of thousands of dollars in the slush fund. He could have made a phone call to the accountant at the slush fund and they would have gave me money. He reached in his pocket and pulled out his checkbook and wrote the check. Here, this is for your new car. This is for your, how many months you behind? This is for your rent. And he said, you're going to pay me back. So really, whatever money I made, I should be paying him back first because I owed him the money. And I felt bad because I'm saying this heathen, even as a Christian, I thought I was like, he's a Catholic, man. So, but he's giving me his money, his personal money, and I got to pay him back. And I said, man, how low have we fallen, right? But I was behind 3 months of my rent. I had just lost the house. We didn't have nothing. He was right. He said, you're on the balls of your ass right now. I said, yes, I am. But I felt confident I was going to get out of it. But he said, let me help you out. So he did. But what I'm saying is, if you owe people money, you don't have money. Does that make sense? If you owe it to somebody else, it's not yours. So when you got to pay back what you owe, that money goes out first. After you paid everybody that you owe your promised payment, and usually we know it's a monthly payment, right? After you pay everybody you owe that month's payment, now if you got something left, it's yours. It's yours. If you wanted to help somebody, you could use it from that. But first, you got to, wait a minute, you do got to eat, right? And if you got children, they got to eat. And if you got children, what do children do? They eat and they grow. So sometimes you bought pants 2 months ago, and them pants ain't fitting no more, or there's new sneakers because the feet done grew, right? So you got to get some new, so you got to make sure you take care of your children first, and they get their clothes, they got to be fed before you start paying anybody anything. Then you pay what you owe, your light bill, your gas bill, your car note, your mortgage, your rent. Everybody got to get their piece. Then what you got left, it might be little or much, might be nothing. Sometimes it's negative, right? My wife used to tell you, I sometimes have change left. Put it on my dresser. What I did, Mama?
Every morning he got it, put it in his pocket.
And I take it out. And if I got paid, and I knew it was going to be gone in a month, so I just take it out. I said, give me all hundreds. I just want to see it. Because I know it was going to be gone. And I put it in my pocket. My wife said, she said, how many times you going to count it? And I put it on my dresser. I put it on the dresser, and then I lay down, and I get up, and I pick it up. And it ain't changed. But I know it's going to be gone, so while I can see it, I want to see it. But see, that's what it is like, though. Because you know it's got to be going. It's going somewhere. It's going to fly. You got to pay everybody. You got to pay, right? I told you about the time I didn't pay. Most had to spank me. I had $10,000, man. And I owed $20,000. So I had the 10 in my pocket. And I had them give me cash. So I'm walking around New York City with 10. And my pocket, I was like, yeah. I went to Queens, the Korean area in Queens. They showed a lot of used cars out there. I went across the 59th Street Bridge. Why they had to have this black on black BMW? The man said, I'll give it to you for 13. So I gave him like 6, gave it to me for 13. Now I didn't even give him 6 because I didn't want to give him that. I think I gave him 2. And then he said, oh, we'll finance the rest, no problem. I said, let's do that. Then I went to the store. I don't know where it was. I picked up all kind of rap stuff. I put it in that system. I rolled the windows down. I had the top up, and I went down Lenox Avenue. I was like, yeah. And I knew it was all going to go away, and it did. Within 6 months, it was all gone. The car was gone, money was gone, everything was gone. But for that moment, I was balling for about 5 minutes, man. And I felt like a fool after, but for that second, I lost my mind. And I was good. I was like, man, I had KRS-One in there. I was like, yeah, let's do this, man. But I lost my mind. I was under so much stress, honestly, that just made me feel good at that time. It was the stupidest thing to do, but that's how we go sometimes. And I got spanked one day. I woke up. My wife came down the stairs. She said, "Where's your car?" I looked up and that car was gone, money gone. We still broke. So that's how it goes. But I learned, obviously, from that spanking. I learned from that. And we do a little better now. But the thing is, money comes, money goes. But when you owe money, you don't have none. Just because it's in your pocket for 5 minutes don't mean you actually have it. Somebody is waiting on that money. Right? Your landlord, your mortgage company, somebody wait, and they're owed that money. So you got to pay them. So when churches be telling people to tithe, the real tithe is money you have after your obligations. They'll tell you, give me the gross amount, give me 10% of you can't do that. First of all, Uncle Sam won't even let you do that. Because guess what? Before you get what you got, that's called net income. Why? Because he taking his first. He ain't waiting on your church. He taking that first. That comes off the top. Then what you got is net income. And from your net income, you got the crumb snatchers. You got to take care, right? You know all about it. You got the crumb snatchers. You got to take care of the crumb snatchers. Then that's called children. Then you got the rent that's due or the mortgage. Then if you driving something, unless you paid it off, you better pay it up. Otherwise, you're gonna see a tow truck, and you don't want to see him. So you got to pay that, and all of that's got to get done. And once you have some money left over, that's what you got. That's your money right there. That's what you got. And for many of us, there's more month than money, right? Well, all of us have spares. Now, there's more month than money. So when you can get money to catch up to the month, that's why people say, "Well, I can't make my ends meet," right? Because the end, I'm short. I'm trying, but I'm short. So if you are able to make your ends meet, what you got left over, that's yours. You got that money. That's yours. And now you decide what you do. My father, of course, would teach you, well, you got a bill to pay. It's your savings account. Pay that. Then you got something left over if you got something left over. Okay? So even if it's 2 nickels, you got something. You can put that something. It adds up. Nickels turn into dimes, dimes turn into quarters, quarters turn into dollars. You know how that flows. And then it goes into 5s and 10s. That's what you want. But you start humble. That's why he said, he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger. Sometimes we got to get humbled. And I know all about that. Y'all do too. You get humble first. Then you get in your proper mindset because you've been humbled. Then you can move forward properly. So tithing means I have paid everybody that I owe. So when our fathers inherited the land, they had no mortgage on the land. They had nobody to pay. They just grew their cattle. They grew their crops. They grew their sheep and goats. That was theirs. So when they're tithing, the whole thing is theirs. Okay? So they can bring from what they owned. See, this is the problem in this society. We don't own nothing. And they make sure you don't own nothing. So what is your stake in something you don't own? They're making you think you have a stake, but you don't have a stake. You don't own nothing here. You walk into a store, that's somebody else's store. And even they owe money on this store. They're hoping you buy to help them pay their bill. If you renting property, you're paying somebody's mortgage. It's not yours, but you're paying somebody's mortgage. The landlord's going to pay somebody, and you helping them with your rent. See? So that's the real. In Jacob's day, he didn't have no mortgage. He didn't have no electric bill. He didn't have no gas bill. He owned, even the clothes on his back was his. It wasn't no charge card from Macy's. He got it. So that's his clothes, right? So now he said, if you bless me, that means I don't owe nobody no money. I'll give you the 10th. So here in Deuteronomy 14, you're tithing, he tells our fathers. Guess where we was? We was in the land. We owned our land. We didn't need a bank to finance us. We owned our stuff. They came through and took. And guess what happened when we're in the kingdom? There's going to be no debt in the kingdom. Along with no more jails, no more hospitals, no more banks. You ain't going to need no banks because you ain't going to be borrowing no money from nobody. Right? That's how banks make money. They make money lending us money. All right, so now you're going to tithe. Wait a minute. Verse 25. He said, then thou shalt turn it into money, and that is if you can't carry it, bind up the money in thine hand, and thou shalt go to the place which Yahweh thy Most High shall choose. So you can't bring all, you so thick with money, with cows and stuff, you can't bring it. It's too far. So you sell the cows, and you bring the money to Jerusalem. What you going to do with it? Wait, verse 26. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. Well, what's that? For oxen, for sheep, for wine, for strong drink. What? Wait, he telling you to get ready to turn the game up. Right? He said, I'm putting y'all on some real game. You could get some wine, some strong drink, some oxen, but you bring it there, and then what? And then he said, for whatsoever thy soul desireth, thou shalt eat there before Yahweh, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household, and the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee at the end of 3 years. So how often did they tithe? Every 3 years. It wasn't even every time something come up the ground, somebody looking for them. It's every 3 years. When thou shalt tithe for all the tithe of thy increase the same year, and shalt lay it up within thy gates, the Levite, because he hath no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahweh thy Most High may bless thee in all the work of thy hand. Now, we don't know. You and me, honestly, have no idea what tribe we're in. I mean, really, right? We can kind of guess with Judah because of how we ended up here and when Judah came to the western coast of Africa. But really, until we get to the kingdom, we don't know. So officially, what I'm saying is they ain't no Levite. Officially. That is teachers, but we have no official way of knowing we're the bloodline of Levi. So we can eliminate Levi until we get to the kingdom. But do we have fatherless? Yes. Do we have widows? Yes. Do we have poor? Yes. So they exist. So if they exist, if you want to tithe something, there's your direction. And you save up the tithe for how many years? 3. Now that creates savings in itself, doesn't it? So you tithe in for savings, and at the end of 3 years, you bless somebody that's poor, somebody that's fatherless, somebody that's a widow. That sounds fair, doesn't it? And it's not versus as soon as you get a gross check, I want 10% of the gross. That's oppressive. It feels oppressive. It's like I'm to be honest, it was a burden to me. I did it because I thought the Lord wanted me to do it. But I ain't gonna front. It was a burden. It was hurting me to give that money. I did it, and I thought I was being tested. Maybe I was. But when I awakened, oh man, I said, "Wait, this game is not what I thought it was." So when them preachers be up there telling you, "Well, you better tithe," I don't think they read what we just read. Right? Because that's the Bible just described to us what a tithe is. It said, once you get together every 3 years and you're getting ready to party, you help the poor, the fatherless, and the widows as part of the party. And they say, you bring the wine with you, you bring the food with you. In other words, you put the steaks on, you put the ribs on, you put the lamb chops on. Wait, you want a little bit of liquor? You want a little bit? Bring that, but share it with your brethren, and y'all rejoice together. What a party that's gonna be, baby. And then there's no oppression, there's no debt, there's no worries, there's no police, there's no popo coming. You know, we looking for so and so. I don't know. You know, ain't none of that. Ain't none of that. Ain't none of that. It's gonna be just all good. So ain't anybody gonna be fighting, nobody gonna pulling out guns and shooting. It's gonna be all good. That's a real party day. And in the kingdom, there gonna be no alcoholics. So in other words, everything you consume in the kingdom will not hurt you. It's gonna be beautiful. There's nothing in the kingdom you can eat that's gonna kill you. Here, they call stuff food, and you and I know it's not really food. It's got chemicals in it. It's got stuff in it. And it don't kill you immediately, But over the course of decades, right, all of a sudden you get ailments and you get stuff in your liver and in your kidneys, and you like, what happened? And they act like, well, we don't know you got these symptoms. That's been building up your whole life. You just don't realize it because they've been feeding you that your whole life. You didn't know, right? But in the kingdom, when you eat the food, it's going to give you life. You're going to feel life in your body from eating it. And it ain't going to be like here where you got to eat something that don't really taste good for it to be good for you, right? There, it's going to be good. It's going to be all good. So that is what a party in the kingdom looks like. It helps the poor. It's a party. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets unhealthy. Everybody rejoicing. That's what it looks like. That's what they did in the land. That's what the Father's intent was when our ancestors went into the land. That's what he wanted for us. And that's what we're going to have again. Praise the Most High. So that is the tithe. So now, with that in mind, when you are in a situation where you're required by the Most High to bless somebody unfortunate, that's your brother or your sister, with what you've been blessed with, it kind of keeps balance. So that if you had a field and you have field with grapes, right? Let's say you grew grapes. In the field, you weren't supposed to take all the grapes. Or if you grew figs, you weren't supposed to take all the figs off the tree. You're supposed to leave. You're supposed to go through there one time. Take what you can get, leave the rest. Why? So the poor can walk through there. The stranger can walk through there. And the Messiah taught us that by example. They went through the field of corn. They walked through the field of corn on the Shabbat, and they were eating the corn. They were eating the grain. And the Pharisees, what they said? You breaking the Sabbath. You ain't supposed to be walking. That was a man-made rule, though. The Bible tells us don't take all the food. Somebody walked through and they want something, they should get some. You shouldn't be going over the tree twice. You go through the tree once. Whatever shakes off is yours. What's left is for the poor, the fatherless, the widow. You let them get it. So here's the Messiah now, walking through a field of corn with his disciples. And they stopped to eat, as they were allowed to do. But the Pharisees are telling them, you're supposed to not do that. Why? And he told them, he said, don't you know the Son of Man is Lord of the Shabbat? No. And he said the Shabbat was not made, man was not made for the good of the Shabbat. Shabbat was made for the good of man. So they got it all messed up. And that's what man-made religion does. It'll get everything backwards. So that man becomes God and everything gets perverted. But when the Most High is in his proper place, everything's the way it's supposed to be. So now, when we get into the land, we're not going to forget. Again, where is Brother Lonnie? Yeah. Why are we not going to forget when we get to the land? Because I'm putting him on the spot. Well, why won't we ever forget? Because no. There's certain sign, and it's a mark somewhere. No. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, God's perfected praise. So because of the marks on his hands and his feet, we will all remember and not forget what it cost for us to get there. So therefore, we won't have marks on us. We have new bodies. So we're going to be able to do all kinds of exploits we can never think about now. We're going to be able to get into dimensions you don't even know nothing about right now. But the Messiah will always have the marks on his hands, in his feet, and in his head to let us know that's what it costs for us to get there. So we will never forget. Never forget. Our fathers didn't have that opportunity. But what did they have? They had an experience. They had come through Egypt and they come through the wilderness and they were delivered by miracle. They got meat from the ground, from the air when they got hangry, right? They got meat from the air. He said, what they call what kind of bird was that? Quails. That's right. He sent quails for miles all around the thing. They had quails for months. He said, I ain't giving you for a day or week. I'm giving it to you for a whole month. So you got quails, so they had all that experience to lean on, but they still forgot. Because why? We can't handle prosperity. We just can't. We just can't handle it. We got to always remain humble to the Most High. He could always take away whatever he gives you, but you must always remember he gave it to you. Whatever you got, whatever you saved, whatever you scraped for, whatever you worked for, you worked hard for it. Okay, great. Just remember, there's somebody that worked just as hard as you, and he blew on it. Okay, he blew on it. He did that to me several times. Save your money. I'm counting it. Man, I got it. Yeah, got it. One time, both times, because each time I did it, I wanted to buy a house. So I get to about 17,000. I said, Mommy, we good, man. Wait till we get to December. We're going to be looking at houses. I walk in, you being let go today. So I had to use my money to pay our bills, pay my rent for the next 6 months until I got another job, which I did. So we started over again. So I got to about 15, and Mommy and I was talking on the phone. I saw this house over here. I saw this one over here we trying to get. All of a sudden, Mommy, bless her, man. She comes in, everybody, and I told her, all you got to do is get your foot in the door, because when they see you start to working, they're going to love you. So sure enough, they brought her in. She started to do her thing. They love her to death, man. There's another woman work with her, come to work sometimes. You know that type. Come to work sometimes. When she show up, she don't even work. She just there. So Mommy called me up and said, guess what? I said, I'm expecting raise, I just got laid off. I said, that's what I'm saying. But then eventually 2021 came and it started sticking to my hand a little bit. So we praise the Most High for that. Because I was getting a little concerned, Brother Lonnie. I was like, man, I know you don't want us buying something. All right. Can I put 2 dimes together? Finally did. So praise the Most High. So yeah, it sometimes the Most High's reason, because he did not want us to purchase the things we were looking to purchase. And so I didn't understand it. My wife and I didn't, because we was like, we are paying our landlord's mortgage and we are tired of doing that. And we added it up and it was 6 figures over the years we had paid her. And we was like, dang, man. And my wife said, I'm tired of paying the mortgage. I said, me too, Mommy, but what we going to do? Every time we put 2 niggas together, she knows it's gone. And we knew it was the Most High. Like, it wasn't no mystery. So we was like, okay, the Most High blew on the money, but why? Well, because as soon as I was ready to go buy, and he's like, no. No. And then when it was time, everything opened up. And that's the thing, brethren. One thing I learned the hard way, and I want y'all to pick this up. Please don't have to go through what we went through. When the door is closed, it's closed. Don't kick a closed door. And if a door is open, but you don't know what's on the other side, guess what? It's open though. You may not understand what's on the other side, but he opened that door. And many of us, including myself, are guilty of years kicking a closed door. It's closed. Brother, don't you get the door and you open it, it's closed. And this one here is open, but I don't like that door. But that's the one I want you to walk through, the one I just opened for you. Right? And if you walk through it, you'll find, oh, this is why he let me walk through this door. And as my wife said, the Most High chose well. He know what he's doing. That's right. That's right. So don't keep kicking the closed door, man. Realize it's locked for a reason. The Most High's trying to protect you from something. Okay? We think we know, but really, he knows. Remember, even if you look at it in a purely carnal way, he's looking at you from above. He's watching the whole game. So he sees what direction you're going. He purposely closing the door because he can see what you can't see. And the reason he doesn't show you is he needs you to trust him. So he don't show you what's on the other side, even though he's telling you don't go there. Just don't go. I'm telling you don't go. Why? Because I said don't go. And he wants you to trust what he just said. Don't go. So we was kicking the closed door, and he kept blowing on that money to show me it's a closed door. And I'm telling you, we were so desperate to buy something. I was like, as soon as we got enough money to get 3% down, we buy it. And he's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Now, we ended up buying, but it was in his will and in his time, and everything just opened up. Everything opened up. Everything opened up. We was like, wow, now we know why he wasn't, letting us go the other way. So we praise the Most High for that. But again, it's a closed door. So don't forget him. And don't try to kick a door that's locked shut. If it's locked shut, there's a reason for that. It ain't your lack of faith, it's him. Because you look, if you following the Father, one of the things that most of us do, I know I do it, is what you do. You say, guide me. If you asked him to guide you, he's going to guide you. So if you walk up on a door that's closed, he's guiding you to walk away from that door. Some people say, well, you lack faith. No, because you asked him to guide you. And when the door opens, that's him saying, I want you to walk. And it's never the door you thought you'd be walking through. Isn't that right? It's never. It's the one you were just sure, I need to go through this way. This is the way. I'm telling you, I got the plan. Boom. No. And you thought you was right. You said, man, I know that's the way. And he's like, no, it's not. And you say, what? No, never mind why. Because I just said so. Just like you tell your children, why can't I go to the party? Because I just said you can't. And that's all you need to know. No. Why can't? No. Okay. And one time I had to explain to my kids, can we spend the night at so-and-so? And the mother called me, can they spend the night? And I said, no, I don't think so. And they said, why? Because they had a little child about the age of ours, right? And half the time she running to me, where's my son? Where's my daughter? She don't even know where they at. They could be in the woods getting molested. She don't have no idea. So when they kept asking, why don't you let your kids stay? I said, okay, look here. I like y'all. I said, but if something happens to my child while they're under your care, I'm going to kill you. And I'm telling you, I said, I was dead serious. I said, I'm not joking. Your life will be required. I don't care, jail or whatever. So in order to avoid that problem, we'll just not do this. In order to avoid that problem, we won't do it because I don't want us, to get messed up. I'll take good care of it. Now she's telling me that she don't even know where her daughter is. So I'm like, no, I don't think so. I said, I appreciate it. Maybe we'll come over for dinner. We did. We came over for dinner, right? They can't cook, but we came over. I mean, some people just can't put some stuff together. They just certain people just don't know what they're doing with it, But we came, we was nice, we sat down, we ate with them, but we would never leave our kids over their house because they have shown us they can't watch theirs. And I don't want to, and my kids said to daddy doesn't want to, you want daddy to go to jail? No. And I would say, okay, because if you go over Miss So-and-so house and something happens to you, daddy's going to hurt them. And okay, yeah, no, daddy don't want to have to go to jail either. Mommy be very sad about that. So no, I don't want that happening. So sometimes doors close, sometimes you explain to them, but sometimes you just say, I just said no. So the answer is no. My father's favorite word, nope. And he had a way of saying it that would irritate you. Pop, can you? Nope. And that's what the Heavenly Father said, nope. All right, verse 7. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7. For Yahweh thy Most High bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks, of water, of fountains, depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive, and honey, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it, a land which stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou mayest dig brass. When thou hast eaten and art full, when thou shalt bless Yahweh thy Most High for the good land which he hath given thee, beware lest thou forget not Yahweh thy Most High in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt in them, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thy heart be lifted up, and thou forget Yahweh thy Most High, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, who led thee through the great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions, and drought where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of a rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, that he might prove thee, to do thee good at the latter end. And brethren, that's the point right there. Everything the Father does for us is at the end for it to be good. He don't do, it's like when we used to think our parents, y'all hate me. Why? You don't let me go nowhere. You don't let me do nothing. I can't hang out with my friends. Well, what are you doing? So that when they get grown, they can look back and say, thank you. Thank you. Because then when they get grown, they look back and say, man, some of my friends was out there and they in jail, they dead, they out here, they got all kind of problems, and you protected me from that. You couldn't explain that when they was little. But you can explain it now that they get grown and they look back and say, oh, yeah, now I know why. Well, it's the Most High closes doors so he can bless us at the end. Sometimes you want something, you want it bad. You can almost taste it, whatever it is. Sometimes it's a man or a woman or a house or whatever. You want it. And he's keeping it from you. And you don't understand why, because you know it's good for you. You just know it is. But then later on, you find out, oh, that's why. You know, there was one brother and sister we knew. The brother was taking care of the sister and her 2 children by somebody else. And she decided to drop him because she met another man. And then she turned around and told our brother, your skin too dark. Wow. Now, it was bad enough after him taking care of her 2 sons that she going to turn around and tell him his skin too dark. But then when she married this other man, her true self came out. And later on, he came up to the man. I want to thank you. He did. He said, I want to thank you for taking that sister off the market. Because he realized later what a mistake it was going to be if that didn't happen. As much as she hurt him, later on, he was able to look back and see that was a blessing. And he didn't know it at the time because he was hurt. But then later on, he recognized, oh, and that brother that did marry her, yes, he must have did something wrong in the previous life. Because when they got divorced, he was so mad, he went to court to make sure she didn't carry his name no more. Mommy know what I'm talking about. She went to court and said, make sure you can't use my name. And that's what the brother avoided. He said, he was like, yo, okay. I avoided major problems right there. He had to pay all kind of stuff. But hey, my man was like, yeah, but I got mine in my pocket still. So hey, we good. So when the door is closed, it's because of this. He said, to do thee good at thy latter end. So at the end, you can look back and understand. He only was doing these things because he wanted to bless you at the end. And purposely, he did not allow you to see the blessing because he wants you to trust him. Okay? Just with Adam and Eve. What did he give Adam and Eve? Why did he even put that tree out there? Why was he even putting that tree out there? For them to get tempted and mess up. To trust him. That's your, and they knew who he was. That's their creator. Don't eat this tree. You could eat all the trees you want. Don't eat this one. And then he told them, if you eat this tree, you're going to die. See, you and me understand what death is. We see it every day, right? They didn't understand what it was. We don't understand except by theory what eternal life is. I mean, I wish I wake up and wish I was still 19. But I'm not. And my body lets me know I'm not. I knew what it was to be 19 once, but that's far gone, right? So we know what it means to get old. We know what it means to hurt. We know what it means to see death. We are only imagining what the absence of those things is like because we don't know what it's like. Well, even Adam didn't know what death was. They didn't know nothing about death except it was no more existence. And they couldn't fathom, how could we not exist? But they didn't. And the death came. So it was a test for them to trust their creator. All of us, when he says no to you, it's a test. Do you trust him or don't you? If you in, you in. If you out, you out. Y'all been there with people? You know, people be in and out on you, right? So listen. No, either you with us or you not. What's it? What, you in or not? I want to know if you here. If you come correct, or don't come, go. Right? So that's what he want to know. You in or not? All right, I'm going to say no. What you going to do? What you going to do? I'm going to say no. You going to still kick the door? I done told you no. Now, if you wait, at the end, you could look back at that closed door and say, man, I'm so glad I didn't try to get through there. Because now I got blessed in my latter end. Always, 100% of the time, I can give this guarantee. If he's blocking you from something, there's 100% chance he's got something better for you. 100%. But there's also 100% chance you won't see it. So at the time, the test is trust him and wait. Hardest thing for us to do is wait. Wait. You know, because a lot of people can't do it. They can't wait. They gotta move. If you learn to wait on the mount, the Bible tells us, wait on him and he'll bless you. So there's always a blessing. You must understand there's 100% chance you're going to get a blessing. But will you wait? Sometimes he have you wait days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. Will you wait? And I'm going to tell you, at the end, whatever it is, 100% chance there's a blessing there for you. But you just have to wait for it. And when you get it, you'll appreciate it. And you won't forget where it came. And that's what he said here. Don't forget, because at the latter end, I'm going to bless you. At the end, I'm going to bless you. That's what it's about. Praise the Most High. Okay, a couple more verses. We almost done, y'all. I see y'all falling asleep. It's all right. I say so. And thou shalt say in thy heart, my power and the might of my hand has gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember Yahweh thy Most High, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day. And it shall be, if thou at all forget Yahweh thy Most High, and walk after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day, that ye shall surely perish. As the nations which Yahweh destroyeth before your face, so shall ye perish, because you would not be obedient unto the voice of Yahweh your Most High. Period. Right? Period. You know what they call that, brother? You know what they call Akawab? All right, mic drop. That's it. Mic drop. Better Rock ain't got nothing on it. Mic drop. That's it right there. That's it right there. Ain't nothing else to say. If you worship another God after I bless you, if you forget me after I took care of you, we're going to have a problem. But if you wait on me, I got something for you at the latter end. But you're going to have to trust me now, right? You got to trust me. For us, sometimes that's difficult, but we got to wait and trust him. Usually, the younger the person, the more they can't wait, usually. Right? The youth people have a problem. When you get older, you get a little bit, sometimes, you get a little bit more patient. And you can wait a little bit. You because you've been stung already. You've been beat, stuff has beat you. So now you're like, okay, I kind of got it. I need to wait a little bit. But sometimes when you're young, I be telling them, I know someone, I won't say who it is, they're not here. But boy, I kept going through girls. And I said, just wait, man. As soon as he break up one, he's online. And find the next undesirable. So I said, bro, just wait, man. And he said, well, how long I gotta wait? I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you give yourself a year, I said, you got the rest of your life, man, right? So you're looking at it now, right? If you're over 40, 50, 60, and you can know, if you're 22 years old and you say, wait a year for something, you're looking back and say, wait, that's nothing, right? But for the 22-year-old, yeah, a year. A whole year. I said, if you wait, bro, you'll get what you're looking for. But if you don't wait, you're going to keep coming up. I ain't going to, with these people that you don't really shouldn't be messing with. Right? So he didn't wait. He was tripping. And now he looked back and he realized, because you know what? He ended up getting the right woman, but he had to go through the 2 kids, the child support, the divorce. And then the right woman was there. And he wouldn't have not known it if he hadn't waited. See, he would have waited. But people don't want to wait. So young people, especially, the time they just think it's all over and they could just keep rushing quick. But sometimes the Most High, one of the things he's always teaching you and me, wait. Sometimes I got you by yourself for a while for a purpose, for a reason. You don't like it. I get it. Wait. I got something better for you. Just wait. And when you look back later, you're gonna say, okay, he took care of me. Nothing he didn't promise me that he didn't do. He will never break a promise. I will, he won't. Right? You might break some, he ain't breaking it. So he got something for you. Praise the Most High. So that was chapter 8. And yeah, that was the mic drop, chapter 8. So we're going to do chapter 9 by the grace of the Most High Friday night. We'll start by that. By then we'll all be back wherever we be. But this fellowship has been sweet, very sweet. So now it's 12:30, which is good. 1 o'clock, the grub is coming. If you like chicken, you're going to like this. It's going to be chicken with plantain and rice and beans and Robert waving his hand. Like, food. That brother wasn't even in here 5 minutes. We got them off the plane, got to the house, and I said, wait, is there food? He's eating. It's like somebody saying, is the water wet? There's a gator in there. Is there food? The brother's eating. So I said food. He's like, yo! It's all good, brother. Pray. It's all good, man. Praise the Most High. All right, well, may the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, brethren. Enjoy the rest of your Shabbat.